Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. UAW President Shawn Fain, he nailed it. Start again. Now, well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly to be a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. As usual, I'm rushing because I just got through doing the 2 videos for today. We're going to have a great show for you today. All right. Okay. Welcome aboard. Eric Hayes is in the house from King Wadatascasita. Michael Rudden is in the house from Brooklyn, New York. And we also have Lee Grant from Montgomery County. We also have Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. We have AVQ. Well, I think I got AVQ already. Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas. And let's see, Yvette Avery Herod says afternoon to the PDR Posse from Atlanta, Georgia. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. We're going to have a great show for you today. Hey, campaign is going like great. Even as you have a lot of people trying to be warning. You know, I have a piece I tried to get ready from Chuck Todd that I couldn't get ready in time because I ran out of time in putting it together. But people just don't seem to believe their eyes, or they like to reinvent history. I don't know why they like to reinvent history. But let's go ahead and put what Bridge MCP wants onto the screen, what Bridge MCP asks for, Bridge MCP gets. All right, let's see what we got there. What we got here for the screen, Bridge. All right, it says, before Trump and Republicans lecture Jews about which party is more friendly to us, let's look at which party actually elects Jews. 26 Jewish members of Congress, Democrats 24, GOP 2. 9 Jewish senators, Democrats 8, Independents 1, and GOP, Republican 0. So who supports Jews again? Where can Jews get elected again? Which party again? And don't forget, it gets deeper than that. We have the blinking screen issue. It gets deeper than that, Bridge MCP, because we ought to remember that these are the guys walking with the tiki torches saying, Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. Who did that again? Oh, it was the guys on the right. Oh my God, it was the guys on the right. And then they have a nerve to talk. Look, let me tell you, the politicians on the right are full of it, inconsistent, and they are disregarding of the people who follow them because, as they say, they are for stupid people. I didn't say it. Trump said it. Trump said, I like stupid people because, he can go into Manhattan, shoot a bullet, kill somebody, and they'll still vote for him. I didn't say it. Donald Trump says he likes stupid people. And you know what? If you're going to vote for him, maybe the guy's got a point. All right, let's go ahead and start reading. Michael Rudden said, Egberto, long one from yesterday. I hope you read this one in full. Of course. The Guardian UK, climate change deniers make up nearly a quarter of U.S. Congress. Climate denialists, 23 in the Senate, 100 in the House, are all Republicans and make U.S. an outlier internationally. U.S. politics is an outlier bastion of climate denial, with nearly 1 in 4 members of Congress dismissing the reality of climate change, even as alarm has grown among the American public over dangerous global heating, and analysis has found a total a total of 123 elected federal representatives, 100 in the House, and 23 U.S. senators denied the existence of human caused climate change. All of them Republicans, according to a recent study of statements made by current members. The report defined climate deniers as those who say that the climate crisis is not real or not primarily caused by humans, or claims that climate science is settled, the extreme weather is not caused by global warming, or that the planet warming pollution is beneficial. The Americans public has been moving significantly in the other direction. Fewer than 1 in 5 people in the US reject the findings of climate science, according to various studies, with long running polling by Yale University showing that those they class as dismissive stand at 11%, while those that slice of America public opinion has remained largely unchanged in recent years. A much larger growing cohort is worried about the climate crisis following a string of record hot years and a parade of wildfires, storms, and other climate fuel events. More than half of Americans are now alarmed or concerned about climate change. Look, let me tell you what we have to do, right? We have to go ahead and just make these people irrelevant. If you're a climate change denier, you have a freedom to talk. You have a freedom to say as you please. You have a freedom to be as stupid as you want. And yes, that particular word I am using in this regard. I can't help stupid. I can love you still. I can hug you still, but I will make sure that you don't come close to being able to define policy. It's like when you have one of your mentally deprived relative or whatever, you love them, you hug them, you do all these things, but you will never ask them to watch you'll never ask them to protect your home. You'll never ask them to be the ones who keep you safe. You'll never ask them to do that for you. So I support and love everybody, but I know who I am going to when I want to elect an official, when I want policy that matters. I know that when I elect these officials or I support the policies that matter, that it will also support the mentally deprived as well. I know that. So I am doing everything in my power to do what's best for everybody, including those who can't protect themselves, including those who vote against their own interests, including those who are gullible enough to think it's okay to grab a woman's parts, to steal from you, to be convicted, to be a felon, to rape, and still believe that person qualifies for the presidency of the United States. I can't help you there, but I still will love you. All right, let's see. Para ver. Let's see. Bridge MCP says, I was so damn emotional to watch Harris and Walz rally. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, and it sent Donald Trump into a tizzy fit. He became so erratic on Truth Social yesterday that he actually looked like he was unhinged. Completely unhinged. All right. Lee Grant squad member Cori Bush, after losing her primary, that doesn't bode well for the landslide. Let's back up. She lost her primary to somebody funded, another Democrat in AIPAC. So he's guaranteed to be in Congress. Now, we will work towards making sure somebody else beats him the next time around. But he is a Democrat. So that has nothing to do with my landslide at all. Cori Bush lost because AIPAC decided that because she spoke out against Israel and in favor of a ceasefire, that they would throw millions, $9 million in an election that had less than 200,000 people. Calculate the amount of money per vote. It's amazing, isn't it? That's the power of money, and that's what we need to get rid of. As Michael Rudnin says, AIPAC and Israel spent $100 million in attack ads to unseat progressives, and the only two they got was Bowman and Corey. And ironically, it was the two black Congress people in districts where they could actually play to the carnality, the fears of a particular group of people. It's amazing, right? But it's something that we have to fight against, but we will. We will. We will. All right, let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says, right, very nervous as the Dems grow, including adding Republicans to the left. Why? They're sick of rump and weirdo. You know what's so funny? There are a lot of groups now that call themselves Republicans for Kamala Harris, which is growing in numbers. White men for Kamala Harris, white women for Kamala Harris. They are just raising a ton of money to support what she represents. And it's something that I think it's reverberating across. It's only going to grow. I mean, guys like Chuck Todd and other analysts don't get it, but they're not on the ground. These are a lot of elitists that don't speak to real people. You see, I'm speaking to real people. And when I speak to real people, they're actually seeing what I'm seeing. They are seeing what I'm seeing. Now, for us to not win in a landslide, we have to have a colossal failure. And so far, Kamala Harris has been avoiding that. The first colossal failure would have been to choose El Señor Shapiro. And look, Shapiro is not a bad guy at all. But had she picked Shapiro, today would have been a different day. Just look at our room here. She would have lost a lot of Michael Rudnin's friends, right? Younger, Gen X's, Gen Y's, right? And she would have had to first work to rebuild them and then expand. By choosing Walz, she no longer has to placate her base. Her base is set. Where she goes is growing. And how do I know her base is set? Because in the registered voter polls, she's ahead of Trump. You get ahead of Trump in a registered voter poll if your base is locked down. By 2 or 3 points, she's ahead. How do you get ahead in the battlegrounds? You got to get about 4 or 5 points ahead, and that will guarantee the battleground. She's ahead in just about every battleground now, but that still has a lot of work to do to really solidify that. All right, let's see. Repost from Al Jazeera. An Israeli medical staffer has spoken to the Wall Street Journal about shocking condition of the Palestinian detainee whose sexual abuse at Israeli SDE Taiman prison triggered a military investigation last week. The staffer said the detainee wounds were so severe they required surgery. The life-threatening injuries included broken ribs, obvious sign of assault to the abdomen and chest, and a severe injury to the rectum, most likely caused by insertion of a foreign object. It was pretty horrifying. The staffer was quoted as saying, "It's just setting the bar so low that I don't know how we can deteriorate more morally. I was aware of things like this that could happen, but I never witnessed anything like this," WSJ citing lawyers and medics, and said the case only came about because the victim was transferred to a civilian hospital and people treating him had raised concern. It's a shame, right? But those are the people many of you are supporting. Those are the people many of you are supporting. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lee Grant says Shapiro was too Zionist adjacent for the. Look, I'm not going to touch that one. Joy Reid, repost from Al Jazeera. A senior official of the administration of President Joe Biden has told Israel Daily Haaretz that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is ungrateful towards the U.S. and disregards the significant amount of aid it has provided to Israel throughout the past 10 months of its war on Gaza. The official also described the last 2 conversations between the two, one during a White House meeting some 10 days ago, the other over the phone last week, as difficult and tense, according to Haaretz. Biden realized that Netanyahu was lying to him about the hostages, the official told the publication. He's not saying it publicly yet, but in the meeting between them, he specifically told him, "Stop BSing me." The official said that U.S. is preparing to help Israel in the face of an Iranian and Hezbollah response to last week's assassination in Beirut and Tehran. but stressed there would be no support for actions that further expand the scope of the conflict. Netanyahu is trying to prolong the war instead of focusing on how to get the hostage deal, the official said. It's making it harder for us to continue supporting Israel over time. Haddad said the Israeli prime minister responded to reports about the tense discussion with Biden through a press release attributed to his office that said the prime minister does not interfere in American politics and will work with whichever is elected president, just as it always is. And you know what? I think it is time that it goes. Let's see. Egberto, got to disagree about Josh Shapiro. This is from Michael Ruddin. He's a turbo Zionist, which is my major problem with him. But there's that Ellen Greenberg stabbing conspiracy theory, which a right-wing bubble would have had a fields day with. Well, we just won't give them that opportunity. All right, let's see. One toilet for 4,500 persons and kids and women, Emirati Hospital 3 weeks ago. Is there one toilet today? That's a shame, isn't it? All right, folks, the first video that I have that I made while that kind of got me behind is the video concerning the UAW president. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go for that right this minute. UAW President Shawn Fain. He nailed it. Again, Donald Trump liked to play like he is the workers, the guy that's in it for the workers. Of course, he's really in it for the plutocracy. He doesn't fool Shawn Fain, who is the president of the United Auto Workers Union. I want you to listen to what he had to say. Now, his first pick wasn't Tim Walz. It was actually Bashir from Kentucky because they have a personal relationship. But ultimately speaking, he points out why, you know what? Tim Walz is an excellent choice. It's the excellent choice. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Over the weekend, you were saying that I think that Bashir would be your first choice of Kentucky, that Walz was a second choice. You didn't like Kelly because of a vote that he took in the Senate on that right to organize, and the fact that that he's a teacher and all the rest, the teachers will be behind him, and very frankly, the fact that Josh Shapiro sends his kids to Jewish day schools, to private schools.
Oh, thanks for having us, Andrea. Yeah, I mean, look, we weighed in on this, and look, I'll be real clear. We rated all the candidates as a board with our research team, listened to our members, and it was very clear. There were two candidates that stood out, and that was Bashir and Walz. And Bashir, I had more of a working relationship. We've done a lot with him in the strike and stuff, but we are ecstatic. Our board is ecstatic. Our membership's ecstatic about Tim Walz being the vice presidential candidate. He's one of us. He's a teacher. He knows what it's like, to scrape to get by, check to check. Teachers have seen their situation erode over the years. They've been left behind, just like the working class in this country have. So that's what this election's about. And there's nobody better that Vice President Harris could have picked as a running mate than Tim Walz. And we are excited and looking forward to rallying with him tonight.
What about the auto workers for Trump? And Donald Trump has a lot of appeal in Michigan. Obviously, that was a major factor for his victory in 2016 with Michigan. So how will this team do in Michigan? They're going to Detroit tonight.
Team's going to win big in Michigan. And look, there's a small minority of workers that support Donald Trump in auto, but, a huge majority of UAW members and auto workers in this nation are going to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they identify with them. They understand them. That's what this election's about. This election, Donald Trump talks about bringing the auto industry back. Let's remind people about facts, because that's something Donald Trump talks about alternate facts, which was what normal people call lies. We talk about facts in UAW. We talked about facts in our Big Three campaign, how workers have been left behind. We create massive profits. And it's no different now. Working class people have been left behind because of policies of Donald Trump. Auto workers, when he was president, there were multiple plants closing. Donald Trump did nothing to help those situations change, to help keep those jobs here. But you know what? When Kamala Harris became vice president, Joe Biden became president, they went to work. They worked with us to turn around a situation in Lordstown, Ohio, where Donald Trump left workers behind and they got shipped all over the country. Under Vice President Harris, they're bringing those workers home. And let's go back to 2019 when Donald Trump was president. GM workers were on strike for 40 days. Donald Trump was missing in action. He did nothing and said nothing. You know who joined striking GM workers on a picket line? Kamala Harris did. And that's when it wasn't a popular thing to do. She stood shoulder to shoulder with our members. And in 2023, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota was right there on the picket line with our members. So we know who's there for us, and we know who's all talk. Donald Trump's all talk. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they walk the walk.
So yeah, he points out something that is very disconcerting, that there are a minority of workers within that union that they're still supporting Donald Trump. Yeah, there are always people who don't mind putting their well-being against their ahead of their prejudices or against their ideologies. But I tell you what, when it gets deep enough, it will. And I think as this election expands, that people are going to get the message and people are going to say, wait a minute, if I want the well-being, not just of me, my family, but also of my country, the reality is Donald Trump continued to represent a clear and present danger, not only to my personal economy, but to the entire country as a whole, the well-being of the country. In fact, the security and economic security of the nation.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Let's see what we have here. Michael Rudnan, if you're going to answer Eric, you must make stupid faces, laughing my ass off. Let me just remind you of something if you're talking to our brother Eric. Eric does this, right? Ideology supersedes his thinking process. I love him, but ideology oversees his thinking process. So it's futile to answer any of those of that commentary until you get a logical statement. You shouldn't. Now, what I do is, if any of his statements, or brother Eric, if any of his statements need answering for the greater public, then I respond, and then you should respond as well. All right, Paul Fleming is in the house from Powder Springs, Georgia. Paul Fleming says, make no mistakes, violent crime went up under Trump. Exactly right. That's not even including the crimes he committed. Was that line great when he said it in real time, or what? He used it a few minutes ago as well in your Clare, Wisconsin. All right, Customs and Border Protection records reveal that the justice and his wife, Virginia Thomas, took a round trip between Hawaii and New Zealand in November 2010 on Harlan Crowe's private jet. He's a bot. He's that, Thomas, I tell you, Judge Thomas is completely paid for. Completely paid for, Yvette Avery Herod says Fain was on point. Union, yes. And Yvette, you have the authority to say that, because in our house here, you are the one who represents unions, and thank you for the work that you do. All right, let's see what else we got. I genuinely don't understand conservatism. If you genuinely believe 10-year-olds should be forced to give birth to rape babies, but become hysterical with rage if public schools give 10-year-olds free breakfast and lunch, and you consider the latter to be communism and the former religious liberty, I humbly but deeply question your basic morality and ethics. Yet there are folks out there losing their minds that a political leader would ever do anything but mass deport and incarcerate people. Conservatism is not a logical philosophy. Okay? You have to remember that. It's, in fact, if you listen to our own Tom Zornick a few weeks ago, in fact, I should find that. I should find that, because Tom Zornick better explained conservatism with one limerick. Let's see if I have it, if I can access it, because I would love to. Let's see. Let's see if I can get to that. No, that's not it. Ah, gosh. I would love to talk about, let's see, maybe conserve. Let me put conserve and see. Red states, right? I mean, Tom Zarnik did a great piece that I recorded. I think he did it in one of our Ask Egberto Anything, and it was a great piece that he did on conservative. Let me see. Again, I tell you what, I'm going to play the last video, and I am then while I'm playing that video, I'm going to look for Tom Zarnik's piece. I hope I can find it. Anyway, let's see. How did I do that piece? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get to that piece. Okay, let me go ahead and play the video, then I'll look for it. You know, I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with brother Fetterman, Senator Fetterman from Pennsylvania. But I mean, he nailed it in this particular interview. The interviewee, the interviewer, attempted to get him to talk about the Israel issue. She attempted to get him to talk about all these little mini fractures in the manner in which the vice president brought in the person that's going to run with her as vice president, and he would have none of it. But the part that really got to me is when she asked the question, he knew how to turn it on what the issue should really be and the incompetence of the Trump administration, the Trump selection, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to listen to how Fetterman handled the reporter. I mean, she's a good reporter, but watch how he handled the questions to turn it into a support for the ticket. Very important, and it's something one can learn from. Every single Democrat that's out there on TV needs to do this.
Let's talk about the way that Governor Walz will play in the state of Pennsylvania, a state that you know so well. Is this something that helps the Democrats lock up this essential state? What's the role Walz plays here?
Yeah, I mean, he is going to kick some ass, and he is just a regular guy, and he has very regular views. Trump would want to talk about anything about Vance and that disaster that is. He'd rather talk about Stormy Daniels than to talk about Vance and anything to try to change that conversation. And then, now let's be very clear. Walz never said that he hates the cops, but actually Vance did that. And now Vance is very clear that he happened to agree that Trump did sexually assault a woman and that, and all these other kinds of a thing. And I don't think Governor Walz ever referred to the vice president as America's Hitler and all those kinds of a thing. So it's like, I challenge anybody. Is, Vance ever generated one positive headline at all? There have all been one. I mean, he's a miracle. I would have to consider him a Democratic asset. And I want to thank the former president. Thank you. Thank you for picking that kind of a disaster and his ongoing entertainment and watching him twist throughout all of this.
I wonder, as you listen to these labels being bandied about, Walz is progressive, Harris is progressive, are they moderate? I mean, you were able to carry that label and win a wide swath of voters in Pennsylvania. What's the right way for the Harris-Walz ticket to position themselves in these progressive and moderate lanes? How do they best define themselves to appeal to the most voters?
No, it's like, let's be clear. I mean, let's talk about who's the expert here. Actually, Biden smoked Trump by 150,000 votes, and Trump barely won Pennsylvania in 2016 by about 45,000 votes. And I have just won Pennsylvania in 22 by hundreds of thousands of voters. Well, I understand, the kind of person that can win and resonate in Pennsylvania. And absolutely, that's, of course, the Vice President Harris, and absolutely it's Governor Walz as well. And I absolutely am convinced that they are going to carry the day in Pennsylvania on that. And honestly, regardless of who the vice president would have chosen, she's still going to win Pennsylvania. She absolutely can carry Pennsylvania. And I don't know why, all of this palace intrigue about the vice president. I mean, it's two main people that are on this ticket, and that's Trump and Harris. and she is going to prevail on that. And it's going to be a close race, as it's always said that, whether it was Biden, whether it was with Hillary Clinton 8 years ago. And I've been consistently saying it's going to be close and competitive. And Harris has a great team. And now she filled 12,000 people in the House. The energy was crazy. There was anything but joy and energy and all of those things. I witnessed all of this.
Now, Fetterman nailed it. I love the question that he asked, right? He said to Donald Trump, thank you for picking that disaster. He also points out that, hey, we're not going to let them tag Walz about police because it is Vance who said, I hate the police. We're not going to let him tag Walz about, calling names out on president, etc. It is Vance who called President Trump Little Hitler. So he was ready with the talking points and ready to really take it to them. Folks, this is what I'm telling you. Democrats are not usually this type of fighters. They like to fight on the edges. They like to be we should be civil, but there are times you don't take a knife to a gunfight. And it seems to me like from Kamala Harris right down to the rest of the team, this is going to be different. They're going out to fight for the American people. They're going out to fight to win. And win, they will in a landslide. And when I say they're going to win in a landslide, I keep telling you guys, I am not joking about that. I know the consultants don't see it because they're elitists, not on the ground. The only way we don't win in a landslide, and I repeat this ad nauseum, the only way we don't win in a landslide, if Democrats screw up and start to play into the trap that Republicans are trying to set. And that is they're playing this belief that people are with them and all of that. And that, I am so glad you picked Tim Walz because now, President Trump, our former President Trump went on Fox News today and said, I can't believe they picked Tim Walz because they wanted us to pick Shapiro. And the reason they wanted us to pick Shapiro is because they understood that picking Shapiro, as E2247 have pointed out, would have created a Gaza-Israel issue fight in the party. By picking Tim Walz, you avoid all of that. Everybody loved Tim Walz. But guess what I found? This is to address Brother Fleming, who spoke about conservatism. And the person that said it best was our own Tom Zarnik. I want you to listen to what Tom said. I think at not the last Ask Egberto Anything, but the previous Ask Egberto Anything. Check this out. The first Saturday of every month, the Politics Done Right posse, the people who listen to Politics Done Right, both on air and online, we generally have a Zoom meetup where many of us discuss, everybody who listens to the show gets a chance to say whatever the hell they want to say. And there was, today was a small meetup, but there was a prescient prose that one of our supporters recited. He wrote, and he said, and it's amazing because it kind of is counterintuitive. He said, those of us who are progressives, those of us who are the liberal ones of today, believe it or not, we are the conservatives that are maintaining the good that this country has been moving towards. I want you to listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Okay, this is something I've been thinking about. I didn't write a limerick for this, but the word conservative. I keep hearing that word conservative. The conservatives are saying this and the liberals are saying this. I think we all need to be conservatives. And I think right now, actually, the way things are trending, I think the Democrats are more conservative than the Republicans because we're trying to conserve liberty. We're trying to conserve civil rights, the rule of law, privacy, competitive capitalism, affordable health care, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, fair wages and working conditions, voting rights, victims of gun violence, fair taxation, a multiracial cultural society, the benefits of immigration, scientific facts, the wall between church and state, free and fair elections, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, peace and justice for all, etc., environment and the planet, so and democracy above all. But I mean, we all need to be on that bandwagon. Republicans and Democrats, we all need to think, what can we conserve in our country that's great? And if it's not being conserved, what can we do to conserve it? What can we do to save our country from all these other problems that we're having? So think about, I would hope we could think about that.
Tom Zornick, he's who I call the politics done right poet laureate, because he comes out with limericks several times a week, and we will recite these limericks, which are always very, very good. But this statement is insightful. And I think, or not I think, I suggest if you have some conservative friends, let them listen to this. Because in reality, this is something they should agree with. Yes, it is something they should agree with. Tom C is great. Absolutely so. Tom C is great. Is Tom in the house today, or is he just kind of listening quietly, or did he not show today? I mean, your ear should, if not, your ear should be burning, Tom C. We actually played a video that you did in our Ask Egberto Anything. So let's see if Tom is going to show up or not. Yeah, he's here. Thanks, Egberto. I've got a longer version of that statement that I'll send you. Okay, that sounds great. I can actually write a blog to that effect with the longer statement that you have, my dear brother. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. I am done with the videos, but what I want to talk about today, and my screens are still blinking, so I can't put it on the screen. I'll put it on the screen for a short while. Article from Common Dreams. You know, Common Dreams is one of the rags I like to read. I also have written several articles right at Common Dreams as well. If you look up Egberto Willies as author there, you'll see that there are a couple of articles that I've written. I haven't written there in a while, but I've written several articles at Common Dreams. Anyway, I'm going to put it on for it. Well, I can put it on the frame that's not blinking. Here we go. Who are they fooling? Project 2025 leader delays book with Vance forward. As you know, there is a Project 2025 book that's out. And the person who wrote the forward is, guess who? Vance. Okay? Vance, JD Vance wrote the forward of the book. And of course, you know, every candidate is vetted. And do you think that Donald Trump, who went to the Heritage Foundation and said they're the ones coming up with the plan, and had JD Vance do it, do you think he really doesn't know about it? So here we go. Hiding the 920-page blueprint from the American people doesn't make it less real. By the way, I have the original copy of the PDF that represents Project 2025. So it's not like it makes sense for them to pull it down. I don't know if they pulled it down or not, but there are many of us who've already gotten copied. I haven't read the thing yet, but I have all the copy. I have the 920-page copy. Advocacy groups have rejected attempts by Republican nominee Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, to distance himself from the far-right policy agenda, Project 2025, and they vowed Tuesday that the latest effort to hide the GOP ticket's connection to the plan won't work. Kevin Roberts, the president of the right-wing Heritage Foundation, which spearheaded the drafting of Project 2025, told Real Clear Politics Tuesday that the book he authored, which includes a foreword by Vance, will no longer be published in September. There is time for writing, reading, and book tours, and a time to put down the book and go fight like hell to take back our country. That's why I have chosen to move my book's publication and promotion to after the election, Roberts told the outlet, announcing a new publication date of November 12th. Ha, 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 ha. Madeleine Pels, Deputy Director of Rapid Response at Media Matters for America, said that even with a delayed publication date, Trump allies wouldn't succeed in hiding the contents of the book, which has already been seen by MMFA, which is a movement stands for Media Matters for America, or Vance's forward. Well, too bad. I already have a copy of it. Roberts railed against childless women, IVF, abortion, and yes, dog parks. They're trying to hide how extreme JD Vance is by delaying Kevin Roberts' book. So come on, guys, release all those excerpts of the book. In the book, Dawn's Early Light, Taking Back Washington to Save America, Robert writes that having children should be considered a social expectation rather than an optional individual choice, and calls contraception a snake strangling the American family. Think about these things in the book. I mean, and people think that we are kidding when we say these guys don't value women. These that they think women are just baby factories or should be barefoot and taking care of them. This is not our invention. This is what these guys have done. Continuing. As Speltz noted, Roberts also takes aim at Swamp Poodle Dog Park in Washington, D.C., saying the area set aside for dog owners and their pets is a result of the anti-family culture shaping legislation, regulation, and enforcement through our sprawling government. My God, this is J.D. Vance. These are the things J.D. Vance believe in. The book echoes comments by Vance that have been the subject of outrage in recent weeks, in which a senator attacked the Democratic Party for being led by childless cat ladies and said people should be punished with higher taxes for not having children. In his foreword, which was printed in full by the New Republic last week, Vance calls on conservatives to circle the wagons and load the muskets. Vance doesn't explicitly address Project 2025, but praises Roberts for articulating a fundamentally Christian view of culture and economics, and says his ideas are an essential weapon of conservatives. While Trump has claimed not to know who is behind Project 2025, at least 140 people who worked in his administration helped draft the document. But I don't know. I don't know. Vance has downplayed his support for this proposal in Project 2025, saying it contains some ideas I like and a lot of ideas I dislike. But in the foreword of the book, he writes that the Heritage Foundation is the most influential engine of ideas for Republicans from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. Project 2025 calls for the abolishment of the Education Department, the firing of federal employees who would be replaced with Trump loyalists, and end to healthcare protections for people with pre-existing conditions, and decentralization of power with the president, among numerous other proposals. As Roberts announced, the publication delay, Paul Dance, who directs the project at Roberts' organization, said he was stepping down amid criticisms from the Trump campaign, but neither the resignation nor the book delay would fool voters, said Julie Chavez Rodriguez, campaign manager for Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee. Project 2025 is on the ballot because Donald Trump is on the ballot. This is his agenda. And don't forget it, people. Don't get snowed. Project 2025, Donald Trump. Project 2025, J.D. Vance. Hiding the 920-page blueprint from the American people just make it less real? Doesn't make it less real. In fact, it should make voters more concerned about what else Trump and his allies are hiding. As Common Dreams reported last month, a poll by Navigator Research found that a majority of Americans believe Project 2025 represents the priorities of both Trump and the Republican Party at large, while Trump and Vance have sought to ensure they won't be associated with the policy agenda, said Brookings Institution senior fellow Norm Eisen. Delaying the publication of Kevin Roberts' book is an admission of guilt. Who are they fooling? Eisen asked. It won't work. Of course it won't work. We have the manuscript. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to let everybody know about it, and we are going to tackle it day in and day out. We're going to tag them for who they are. We're going to remind America that J.D. Vance called Donald Trump little Hitler. We're going to remind America that J.D. Vance says, yeah, Trump did rape these women. We're going to remind America that J.D. Vance says he hates the police. We're going to remind Americans that Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance. What does that say about his vetting skills? We're going to remind Americans that Donald Trump really stole from the working class. We're going to remind Americans that Donald Trump thinks so little of women that he says he can lay a kiss on them and grab them by their crotch and they like it because he's a celebrity. That old, nasty, fat fart. And I don't speak like that, but I couldn't help. If he could think that way of women, then we probably should address him that way. Mr. FF, right? Mr. FF. It goes against my nature, but he's Mr. FF. This guy is a clear and present danger to the United States of America, and it's high time. It's high time that we understand that this guy will not be elected again. And we are going to beat this guy in a landslide, and it's up to you. It's up to you to support the policies. It's up to you to support those of us who are trying to make sure that many people, thousands of people, understand that they cannot vote for Trump Vance. That voting for Trump Vance is a moral failure. That voting for Trump Vance is a message to your kids that you do not believe in law, that you do not have your own values together, so they need not worry about their own because you're telling them it is okay to be a thief, it is okay to be a thug, it is okay to be a rapist, it's okay to steal, it's okay to be a fraudster. Any adult parent voting for Trump should have no problem with having a delinquent child because they have okayed delinquency with their vote. I repeat, they would have okayed delinquency in the eyes of their kids with that vote. There's no two ways about it. Doesn't matter that I continue to love my brothers and sisters, but any one of you who vote for Donald Trump, you would have destroyed your morals. One can never again look at you the same. All right. Bridge MCP says, and let me get this screen off now. Bridge MCP says, Egberto Willis Vance was a journalist. Woohoo! Where did Walz serve and what did he do in the National Guard during his service? Walz responded to natural disasters, including floods and tornadoes in Minnesota and Nebraska, and was deployed overseas for months at a time, according to NPR. In 2008, he was sent to Italy, where he served with the European Security Force to support the war in Afghanistan. He was also stationed in Norway for joint training with the NATO militaries. Walz told NPR that he re-enlisted in the National Guard after September 11 attacks, but never saw active comeback in his years in the military. Walz served in the military for 24 years, enlisting in the Nebraska National Guard at 17 in 1981, and then transferring to Minnesota National Guard in 1996. He retired in 2005 to begin his successful run for the U.S. House, representing Minnesota as Command Sergeant Major, among the highest ranks for enlisted soldiers. His battalion went on to deploy on Iraq shortly after Walz's retirement. Walz specialized in heavy artillery and had proficiency ribbons in sharpshooting and hand grenades. But during the 21 years that Walz spent working with larger artillery pieces, he suffered hearing loss and tinnitus, I think, in both ears. Minnesota Public Radio reported he was allowed to continue his service after undergoing surgery, which partially resolved the hearing's problem. But you know what's so funny? It just shows you how deleterious the Trump administration is, because when they told J.D. Vance to come out and attack his service, now that gives NPR the reason to go do some research. And what does it show? It showed that after all, the guy in the National Guard actually served overseas. He served in disaster. It makes his profile even bigger. It makes his service even bigger because most people that serve in the military don't ever see combat, don't ever see any of these things. This makes Walz look, by him questioning that and NPR coming with a retort, it makes Walz look even better. A man of service. Madre mia. Madre mia. Sharkula hairstylist says Egberto is so mean. My failed attempt at sarcasm. Sharkula, I know that you're giving me a hard time. But look, it is amazing, right? It is amazing. It is amazing. Uh Hayes, now this is the one I'm gonna answer from Hayes. He says, people's kids have nothing to do with your opinion. Yes, it does. And if you don't see that, there's something wrong upstairs. If you're voting, and I repeat this to you directly and to anybody voting for Donald Trump, don't ever castigate your child about about bad behavior. Don't ever castigate your child about being a thief. Never castigate your child for being a rapist. If you are willing to vote for somebody that raped, if you are willing to vote for somebody who do all these things, and then you think you have the moral authority to tell your kid not to do it, who the hell do you think you're fooling? Your kid sees it. Don't you think so? Your kids absolutely see that you are willing to go against morality to support somebody. Why the hell would they want to listen to you again when you tell them you need to be morally correct? You need to not commit a crime. Why would they listen to you? You have shown that it doesn't matter. Your vote has shown that it doesn't matter. So therefore, I don't want to hear that crap, Eric. It does matter. It does matter. If you tell your kid to be respectful, if you tell your kids not to commit crimes, if you tell your sons not to rape a woman, if you tell your daughters not to do these things, and you go vote for Donald Trump, a person that has committed just about every crime imaginable to man, and you say that you think you have the moral authority to tell your kid to be good, the hypocrisy is something your kids will see, and don't ever think they will look at you again and say it is okay. The first vote that you did for Trump could be a vote that said, well, we're not sure or we didn't know. Your second vote for Trump, you were dutifully informed. You were dutifully informed. And if you continue to support the rapist, if you continue the person a judge called a rapist, if you continue to support the thief, if you continue to support that fraudster, that's a message to your kid. And I get upset about this because, again, if you think your kid is not seeing what you're doing, you are dreaming. If you believe your kid doesn't see when you go out there with your MAGA stuff supporting a rapist, if you think your kid doesn't see that, and if you think that doesn't reflect, one of the reasons I've always made sure to live a good life, I wanted to have the moral authority to talk to my child. And my child comes to me now, an adult that she is, and she commends me for that. And she also speaks about the kids in her class in moral decline because of who their parents are. Because of who their parents are. The moral decline and all the things these kids are going through because of the hypocrisy that they see in their parents. They know that their parents are, how can you tell me, mom, not to steal and you're voting for a thief? Oh, dad, how can you tell me that I can't have my way with this woman when you're voting for somebody who pull on women's crutches? Get real. Anybody listening to me right this minute, you vote for Trump and you have kids, you're telling your kids criminality is okay. I got to get out of here. Look, folks, I love you all. Please support the program however you can. And the way to do so is to, there's an all-encompassing link. It's called politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support is where you can find all the different ways in which you can support our program. Now, you can also support the program by becoming a patron. And how do you do that? You go to politicsdoneright.com/patron. Patron is spelled Patreon. Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/patron. Alternatively, and one of the things we're trying to build right now is our newsletter as a support system. And the way we do that is to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please consider becoming a subscriber. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. And you can become a paid subscriber by simply, it's a coffee for, just consider that you're taking me out for coffee or something like that. It is important that we continue to do this work. And especially now, I have a lot of work to do. And I was speaking to somebody, actually it was to Daniel I was speaking to last night, about midnight actually. We're talking about, we have our district attorney who decided to support Tom Cruise. So I'm about to write a very tough blog on that issue. A Democratic district attorney supporting an insurrectionist. And I am about to write a very, very tough blog on her and anybody who supports her. In fact, I'm going to try to have that out tonight. And Daniel was asking, Egberto, my God, you're constantly putting this stuff out. And it's like, yeah, I work 16 hours a day because we have to get our message out. And we need to have a whole lot of Egbertos working 16 hours a day, getting the message out. But we do need your support. And how can we get your support? If you will go again and support, the minimum, I tell you, is support our newsletter. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and become a paid subscriber. I mean, once a month, a tiny little coffee, you won't even feel it, and you'll be doing good. And you get my newsletter, and guess what? It's not anything for free. Guess what? You get to read all my books at Substack. All my books and any subsequent book that I write. So please, again, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Become a paid subscriber. You'll have immediate access to my books. I just got through, I'm almost done putting As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. This one is there already, but I have the last 3 chapters to put on. The other book is Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. That one is there completely. I also have It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. That one is completely there already. And I've started putting this one on, How to Make America Utopia. And of course, this is what I'm following right now. Lose weight. But anyway, folks, so please support the program on the newsletter. Again, just go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Become a paid subscriber, and you have access to all those books on Substack. You can read all my books on Substack. Anyway, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.